Welcome to the Sleepover Retro Countdown Show, where nostalgia competes for the top spot, now part of someone's favorite productions network. Brought to you by Sleepover Trading Company. Be kind, rewind your childhood.
Each
Boom.
episode, your hosts, Rob, I am, of course, the Gale, and Guido, that would make you the Sydney.
The Tatum.
The Tatum, sure. No Dewey's here. Although we love Dewey. But each of us final girls bring 5 picks from deep in the analog archives. Movies, comics, toys, songs, commercials, whatever. And battle it out to build the ultimate top 10 list.
So, grab your Ghostface mask and join us for another round of the Sleepover Retro Countdown Show.
On this episode, Top 10 Screams.
Screams. I know. Well, that makes it sound like we're counting down people screaming,
That's
which
true.
we're not doing. Although
that would be
one
fun,
day
though.
maybe that would be a good episode because I've already
Wilhelm
got...
Scream, though, that has to be number 1.
Well, yeah, but the uses of it are number 1 because
That's true.
my
That's
favorite
true.
is Buffy using it to break the silence on that episode. But anyway, this is not a Buffy episode. This is a Scream episode. Scream, the movie, Scream, the franchise, Scream, this guy. Today's rules.
For people who can't see the video, he's holding a little ghost face.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Thank you. So today's rules, we have a prompt for each item on our top 10 list to get us to a competing pair. So a little different than our usual structure.
Yes, and these are explicitly scenes from the Scream movies. We aren't currently dealing with soundtracks, merchandising, or anything else, though, yes, would love to see that in a future episode. There's a lot of it out there. Like,
here's my
everything that
Scream
Guido's
Buddha
holding.
figurine, just so everyone can see that.
What was
Yes.
the recent one we got? It's like a Scream creeper. It's like a ghost face that's like lurking outside your
Yes,
window.
jumping out from behind a tree. Yes. There's so much. We have it all, maybe in a future episode. But for now, we are counting down the top 10 parts, aspects, pieces of Scream.
Oh, yes.
So who is starting? I guess
I will-
since you live longer in the franchise, based on your
Yes.
character assignment, you get to go first.
Sounds great.
So what are we competing with for our 9 and 10 spots?
So that
How are we
is-
opening this countdown?
So that is opening scene.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because these are, of course, so famous. This is part of what makes a Scream movie a Scream movie.
Oh, yeah. You cannot not have the opening phone call scene. Although, actually, I was thinking in one of them, in Scream 2, you don't get a phone call, right?
2, you don't get a phone call. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What are you bringing for your top opening scene of Scream movies?
Well, how can I not go old school here and go with the original Drew Barrymore, In Alone in the House, the popcorn is popping. It's the original Scream.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah, I feel like it
It's
set
perfect.
the stage for everything else. So I have to go with that. And I'll say this. I like aspects of other ones better, but the scariest opening, I have to still say it's the original.
Well, it is the DNA of the rest of the franchise. Not only the subversion of audience expectations with Drew Barrymore getting it in the first 5 minutes, but the whole element that I know I always talk about, I think I even talked about on this show when we were counting down horror movies, is getting killed while your parents are right there. Like
Yes.
this idea of being killed in such a way that someone is so close and could have saved you and wasn't able to. That is terrifying. And so that opening sequence is just terrifying every single time.
Yeah, and for me, I wasn't allowed to watch it when it first came out in 1996. But when I was, I totally put myself in Drew's shoes because this was probably the first time in my life I was allowed to stay home alone. I would probably be watching a scary movie. The landline would maybe go off. So seeing that still today in 2026 puts me back into 1996 in a heartbeat.
It is a really good one, and that is going to be quite hard to beat,
Hmm.
I will
Well,
say.
what are
That was
you
not
gonna
the
try to take a stab at beating it with?
I am, and I'm going to do that with Scream 4.
Hmm.
Scream 4 is the meta on meta sequence that I think is just an absolute delight. I think it is fun, and it ends up being the mission statement, if you will, of like the second half of this franchise series, I'd say, which is we're gonna both be meta and then poke fun at being
Yeah.
meta at the same time, and but do it in an unexpected way and do it with horror and comedy. And so for those who don't remember, Scream 4 is of course you're watching an opening sequence that turns out to be the opening sequence to Stab 6, you think. That's the title card you get. And then you get on another opening sequence, the best one in my opinion, which is Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell. And then that murder is just great and unexpected because all of a sudden she's just irritated and just takes the knife out and Kristen Bell stabs her. And then that turns out that that is in fact the opening to Stab 7. And then you get to the final layer of it where the people who are actually in the movie are watching this. So it's like
Hmm.
layer upon layer and it's done to comedic effect, but it's also good horror. I
And I
love that opening sequence.
I love the line then once we get to the real world where they're saying, wait, if the opening to Scream 7 is the
To
opening to
stab.
Scream
Yeah.
6,
Stab,
yeah, Stab
stab, stab.
6, does
Yeah.
Stab 6 even exist? Like, I think that's all great. I think the other line there I love is once we get again into kind of the real world and the killer calls and is making a joke about like, oh, you're the dumb blonde, and she says like, I've got a X blah 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 like grade point average. It's like, and it's almost it feels of the same ilk as like Cabin in the Woods and all these things that were then subverting the
Hmm.
expectations of like, oh yeah, we've just got the jock and the dumb blonde. It's like, no, no, world is much more complex than that.
Yeah. So as much as I love it, obviously you've got to win. Scream 1, the opening sequence
Yeah,
is iconic. It's truly iconic. That gets
it
thrown
has to be.
around a lot, but that is an
Hmm. But
iconic
I'm gonna put
scene.
4 as is up there. It's in the upper echelon for me, definitely of the opening scenes.
All right. Well, here we go. Moving right along for our number 8 and number 7 spots. We are going to be counting down our top phone calls.
Hmm.
So, again, an essential ingredient in the Scream franchise, the phone calls. And
Yeah, and I
so
looked it up online, and there is a Wikipedia that just goes through the phone calls. Because I
there
was like,
is. I
I'm
didn't
probably
even,
forgetting some of them, but
I
of
didn't need
course,
that. I
someone
don't
has
forget any of
detailed them
them.
all.
All right. Well, I am bringing, it's recent, but it is not only the best phone call, but I think it amounts to the best fight scene in the entire
Hmm.
series to date, which is through 6. We should have said at the top, we haven't seen 7 yet when we're
Yes.
recording this, so no spoilers on 7. But through 6, I think Gale's phone call in Scream 6 in her apartment
Hmm.
is the best phone call. It is the best fight scene. It is tense. Every time I watch it, and I've watched this movie at least half a dozen times in the 2 years it's been out, every time I watch it, I still think, is she gonna die? It's suspenseful and tense, and it's funny. The fact that she's never spoken to Ghostface is brought up, of course, in that meta way, where Ghostface is like, we've never had a phone call before. And so it's funny to realize, like, oh yeah, Courtney Cox has never been on
Hmm.
the phone with him, with any of the Ghost Faces before in the franchise. She's tough in it. She's really fighting the good fight. You think she's gonna get him, but then she doesn't, and luckily doesn't die. I think that is the best phone call because of the whole sequence that's built around it. So
Yeah.
I'm going
I
with Gale
love the
Weathers
moment
and
in that having recently rewatched it, where you're always saying, okay, why does this character make this decision in a horror movie, which obviously Scream has talked a lot about. But there's the moment when Gail's got the gun, she's closed the door. She could have just keep the door closed and shoot through the door and just hope that Ghostface runs out of time, like the police arrive. But what I love about that scene is like what we know about Gale as a character, she would open the door. Like she always has to go that extra step and kind of put herself into danger and like her stick her nose where maybe it shouldn't go.
Well,
So
and she's
even
quite
though, yeah,
clever throughout
mm-hmm,
too. Like, so it doesn't, yeah, there is no moment where you're like, oh, duh. Even when she's running onto the balcony and you're like, well, why is she going onto the balcony? She's trapping herself, but she's doing it to go into the bedroom where she can then go into the other room and get to the gun safe. And like, so she has so much intelligence in
mm-hmm.
that sequence, and that's really key. So,
And usually the phone calls end and then we kind of get the action sequence. If you even think back to Drew in the original, what's I think so unique about this
mhm.
one is that the phone call continues throughout the scene.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And there's the comedy of her boyfriend getting killed, and she doesn't quite care that much because of course Dewey was the love of her life. Sorry to the guy that we don't even know his name that she's dating.
Nameless
But
guy, muscle
I
guy.
love that.
Yep.
And then Ghostface makes fun of him and his muscles won't save
Hmm.
him. And so it's a great, great sequence. That's my top phone call. What is your top phone call?
I am going to another character from the original film, but not the original film. This is Randy's call with
Mm.
Ghostface in Scream 2.
So I will say
Think,
this is the
yeah.
one when I brought up this category in our planning, you were like, phone call? How can I think of a phone call? And I wanted to just say, Randy, like that
Yes.
is it's the one on the quad and it's in public again and it's drawing him to the van slowly and yeah, sorry, but it's your choice.
Yeah,
Go
I
for
think
it.
lots of no, yeah. Well, there's so much humor in this, which obviously there's a lot with the Randy character, but I love kind of Ghostface berating Randy that, he's never going to get the girl, and Ghostface that and then kind of really egging him on. And again, it's a similar a little bit in that way to Gale, obviously not as long of a stretch, but the fact that Randy never spoke with Ghostface in the first movie as
Hmm.
almost this always secondary character, and now he's having this conversation. And what also works so well upon rewatch is that at the end of the phone call, Randy is saying how Billy was this mama's boy and just never was deserved what he got, and then he's pulled into the van and killed, and it's only at the end of the movie that we learn that it was Billy's mother who killed
Hmm.
Randy and is one of the ghost faces. So it
Hmm.
actually is not just this random moment, but actually helps tell you who the killer is.
Rewatching the series for the umpteenth time, the first one I've probably seen truly dozens of times, but there is so much seeding, and yet, of course, like you can't decode it in advance,
No.
and you're not meant to be able to. It's too challenging as it should be. But you're right, that is a great moment where you're like, ah, yeah, that must be Debbie Salt,
Yeah. And
Nancy
totally
Loomis
totally
talking to him.
unexpected, I think, when he's pulled into the van. It is like a great jump scare, really, because I think even after the first movie, we've been kind of conditioned. Oh, a lot of these characters are going to continue to live. Randy's so core to the franchise as kind of like our seer of all things horror movie. So when he is killed, I think it
It's also
is such a
daylight in
shock.
a public
Daylight,
place, right? So
public
it
place.
it
Yeah.
ups that nature that we were talking about with Drew's phone
Totally.
call. So I don't know though.
I'm gonna
I'm
give it to your gal, I think,
yeah,
actually. Yeah, I think because it was a long time coming, and I think
it's
the
true.
fact that what's unique about both these calls is that the action kind of continues throughout the call, which I love. But the Gale one obviously really heightens the action so much.
Agreed. All right. So what are we bringing for our number six and number five spots?
Okay, so there's been a lot of them. This is the number, our top murders of the series.
Oh, I'm sure there's a Wikipedia of this. Again, I
Oh, of
didn't need to
course.
look at it, but yeah, there's got to be a couple dozen of these if
Will
you
you
count
even
every
forget like
character.
Steve in the opening scene? Like we don't even Steve doesn't even have a
Exactly.
line, but he's
Exactly.
murdered. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So what are you bringing to this competition?
This one was pretty easy for me. I think this is one of the best sequences in all the movies. It's a double murder, and it's Officer Judy or Sheriff Judy at this point,
Deputy
and her
Judy first,
Deputy
but
Judy, and her son Wes in Scream 5. Such a
mhm.
great sequence because it has a phone call element to it. It has some great humor where Ghostface is talking about horror movies and Judy is like, I prefer musicals and romantic comedies. And then the moment when she races back to the house and we think, of course, Ghostface is inside. We see her son showering and he references Psycho. And then right before Judy gets to the door, she's stabbed again,
Yeah,
right out in daylight
abruptly,
in front of
right?
the
Yep, right
house.
on the front porch. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think that's one of the saddest deaths,
Yes.
honestly. I think probably second only to Dewey. I think
Hmm.
that death is one of the
It
saddest.
is because you get
And
the
it's
sense
funny,
that, yeah,
well,
that she's like
Judy
the
too
single
is not
mom.
a she's not a very, I guess she's endearing, but she's not a very likable
Hmm.
character. And yet it still is very touching
Hmm.
and traumatizing, of course. And then
Yeah.
his death is pretty
Oh,
intense too.
yeah. Hers is almost like the, well, it really is two parts of this because hers is so quick. Like you don't expect it, it suddenly happens. And then Wes, her son's death is probably one of the most prolonged sequences in it because this is actually the filmmaker so much playing with the idea of jump scares because every time he opens the bureau or he
Hmm.
opens the refrigerator, you expect Ghostface to be standing right there, and every time he's not. And it's this super long where it's like, oh, can't go one more, and then it goes one more. It has something similar in that way to your opening sequence in of Scream 4 in that way, where it just goes one further than you think it's going to
Hmm.
go. And then, of course, it ultimately then pays off, and we get some like nice, gruesome knife through the cheek action
Hmm.
that we end
Hmm.
with.
Yeah. All right. That is a tough one. But for me, the best murder, because it is the murder. I don't like murder. I like horror movies, but I'm not a fan of murder.
I, are
But
you
the
saying I'm a
murder,
fan of murder?
I think you're a little darker. The murder that I cheer, that my heart swells every time it
Mm,
happens, that I think is just the most kick-ass moment is Sam murdering Richie. I
yeah,
think Sam murdering Richie at the end of Scream 5 is just such a gratifying
it
moment.
is.
Not just the feminism of it, but the whole meta element of it, the one-upsmanship again, which this franchise does so well. You're back in the house of the first one, and of course, Sydney murders Billy in the first one, and that's an important thing. But this is like, how do we take it further? Well, we take it further by having her just stab him. I think she says in Scream 6. So this is the end of Scream 5. In Scream 6, I think she says 22 times. So she's
Hmm.
stabbing him all these times. And then he's like, probably gonna die, but keeps pleading for his life. And then she's just like, nope, and slits his throat. And it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, go for it, Melissa Barrera. You own my heart in that scene. I love that sequence. So
Yeah,
that is
I'd
my
still say
favorite murder.
there's like a respectability to when Sydney kills people in the previous movies. It's very swift, like it's like one stab, one shot, but this
That's
is
why this is
very
so good
feral.
because it's giving,
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Everything with Sam and Tara is feral, and that's why it's giving you that, is she Billy Loomis's daughter?
Yeah.
Does she have that in her? But it's also like it again, I've never been in, don't want to be, I've never thought about myself being in these situations, but you sort of imagine like, yeah, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, no, I'm not going to give you mercy. And so I love those moments, and there's more of them in
Hmm.
6, I think, in the climax, and it's just so fun to me to watch that character be feral exactly as you described. So
Mm.
I love that. But
Well,
Judy
we
and
have very
Wes, I'll give I'll give the
well, they're
I'll give
very
this
they're
tournament to.
very opposed here because you've got one that's like a scary Ghostface murder and one that's kind of a triumphant hero murder at the
Yeah.
end.
But I will yours is is everything Scream. Mine is a little different, but they're both awesome. But you'll take it with
Okay.
our number five being from the same movie and having Judy and Wes die. All right, so here we are, our penultimate category. We had to go with best Ghostface.
Ghostface.
The best Ghostface.
And of
So
course, the best Ghostface is Roger L. Jackson, but he's exempt because
he
yeah.
is. That is so true. So I was really thinking through. I think we've had a dozen ghost
Yeah,
faces
I believe so.
in
Yeah.
our movies so far, in our six movies. And they all offer something
Hmm.
different. But I had to stick with why I'm wearing a white t-shirt today with Billy. Not just because Billy is the original, but because Billy, his performance of Ghostface or of Billy Loomis is so good. It's so devious and charming and charismatic and dark and twisted, and his knife work in the climax when he finally outs himself as the killer, like, and his just, oh, he's just awful, awful, scary, terrifying, twisted person. He's manipulated so many different characters in this world. Then years later to find out he's had a child, like he is just Ghostface.
Hmm.
So I have
Now
to go
where
with the OG Billy Loomis.
now where do you think like Stu plays in that though? Because obviously there's a lot he has a lot in that scene. Like, do you think like do you give all the props to Billy, or is like Matthew Lillard Stu like he's secondary for you in that?
Yeah, I mean they're a happy married couple, and the actors have confirmed that's a legit reading that they are a couple, and so I fully believe that. But they are Leopold and Loeb. But I do think Stu is the second banana to Billy, and I love Stu, and I love Matthew Lillard's Stu, and I think that is another fantastic performance. But if I'm ranking the ghost faces, I'm ranking them
Hmm.
independently, and Billy is it for me.
Love it.
So,
Well,
what is your
this
OG
was
ghost face?
this is the hardest category for me because, as you said, there a lot of good ones here. My favorite performance as a Ghostface, I have to give to Dermot Mulroney in Scream 6. I think like he goes so cuckoo bananas in that
He
performance, and
is
I love it.
sadistic and he's very
Yes.
good at it.
And
Yes.
just you get the sense of like a crazy dad. But I think if I had to go with a Ghostface who I love to hate, which I think is where my ultimate, you have to hate the villain, right? I'm gonna go with Emma Roberts as Jill Roberts. There's some meta-ness right there in Scream 4. Because she just seems like of all the ones, she's not crazy like Mrs. Loomis, like Billy, that she is so cold and calculating, and the fact that she's
Mm-hmm.
doing this to be famous, not for
Mm-hmm.
revenge, as some other
Mm-hmm.
characters have
Yeah, it's
had.
almost less personal. Yeah.
It's so less personal, like, and the fact that she actually like comes so close to killing Sydney, and that it actually is the only movie where the climax is almost the anticlimax, and then we
Mm-hmm.
have a whole another sequence. Like, I think is so great, but I think it's that cold calculatedness of that character, which we've never seen in any of the other ghost faces, that really resonates. Where, oh, you just want to stab her.
Well, I'd say Richie is not too far off, but they're similar.
But
But
there's a
I agree that,
craziness there to his idea that I feel like
yeah.
I don't quite, and maybe because again he's partnered with another like crazy
And
performance,
they're like kind of a Bonnie and Clyde of
Bonnie
it.
and
So,
Clyde,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and the fact that that Jill kills her accomplice, like she's the only one of these duo ghost faces where it's like, oh no, I'm just gonna kill you because I don't want Charlie, I don't want to share the spotlight with anybody else, and like he is as shocked as anybody else in that moment too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, as much as I love Jill, I
Yes, of
mean,
course. How can
you've
we
got to give
not
it to
give it
Billy.
to the original?
Yeah. All right. So for our top spots, let's do something a little different. We're
Mm.
gonna rank all the movies, and then I actually assign them points to determine what our number one and our number two spots
Oh,
are, because
okay.
we did not agree on our rankings. So,
Definitely.
you start us off with your rankings.
Okay. So I think first off, and I think you agree with me here, Guido, like this is the one franchise where there's no bad
There is not,
additions.
and I was going to share that also, and people need to know just how biased I am about this, and that's fine. These six movies, I think all six of these movies are some of the best horror movies there are. I think that these are better than the vast majority of horror movies that are out there, all six of them. So even though something had to get on the bottom, I don't think any of these are terrible.
Yeah. So the one that does have to go on the bottom is Scream 3 for
Something had to
me.
get there.
And again, I just doesn't always rise to the level of the other ones. I think the ending is a little too much going on. Followed by this one might be controversial, but Scream 2, I feel like great moments, but some it doesn't quite overcome the original. It feels a little sequely to me there. Then I'm gonna go Scream 5, some great moments there, but again, doesn't quite always live up there. Then I think definitely for me, Scream 6, having just rewatched this, some really great moments. I think the movie has a little bit more room to breathe now with these new characters. Then I'm going to go with the bastard child of this series, which people often feel like is at the bottom, but it's Scream 4. I just really love this movie, and I think it's such great meta commentary on the social media age. But of course, I have to go with the original Scream 1 in the top spots.
All right. All right. I'm okay with your order, and it's not too dissimilar from mine. I think there's two key swaps.
Mm,
So I also have to place three in position number six. However, again, doesn't mean it's bad. I actually quite like a lot about it. Then four for me is the fifth one, and no problem with it. It just everything else had to go above it.
yeah.
So then in my fourth position, number two. In my third position, number five. But my top two movies of this franchise are number six in position two. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I don't care that we're not getting the initial original follow-up to it. I actually think it's a perfect, complete story, particularly as a companion to number
Hmm.
five. So I am completely satisfied and love it. And sure, one day maybe we'll see Sam and Tara again. Maybe we'll see them in number seven again. Who knows? But top has to be number one. Agreed. It is. It is. We've said this every time we've rewatched it, which has been a good number of times. It is perfect. It really is. There is not a thing out of place in that movie. And
Yeah.
and it's
It's a,
incredible that the next five after have lived up to, I've gotten really close to that. And that's really extraordinary about
but
this
it's so
franchise.
tight, I think, that first one, when you really think you're dealing with what, five characters, really, and there's not any room, there's no fat on that movie to trim, really. Like
Yeah,
that movie is so wonderful in that way. And I think still to this day, there's some great jump scares, there's some great thrilling moments, but if you have to go for scariness, I think the basic back to basics, or always starting with the basics of that original movie, it's just hard to beat how scary that can still feel today.
definitely. So assigning points to our
Hmm.
rank order, our joint order has number one in the top spot, followed by
Yes.
number six, followed by number four. We have a tie between five and two, and the bottom of the list is number three. So that makes our number two pick for our Scream countdown, movie number six, and our number one pick, the original Scream number one. So that is incredible. We have our top 10. Give us a recap of our top 10.
Yes. So for opening, our number 10 slot, Scream 4, followed by number 9, the opening of the original Scream, phone call, we've got the Randy phone call in Scream 2, and then in 7 spots, the Gale phone call in Scream 6. For kill, we have the Sam killing Richie moment in Scream 5, and then the Judy and Wes kill in Scream 5, also in Scream 5. For number 5, lots of fives there. Then our number 1 our Ghostfaces. We've got Jill in number 4 spot, Billy Loomis in number 3 spot, and for the top Scream movies, number 2, which is Scream 6, and of course number 1, the original Scream. Yay, give that a round of applause with your red right hands.
I was thinking we need that sound effect that's like the sound of a knife. Like, I don't even know. It's just that metallic, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
but before
good.
we wrap up, Guido, I do want to ask, because of course we have Scream 7 about to come out right as we're releasing this podcast. We have not seen it yet. In fact, you and I basically avoid we have left the movie theater when the trailer has come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've heard maybe the first 3 seconds, and I'm even upset about that.
I'll scroll through social media just in case, and we know from our friends in the movie business that like the movie's embargoed. They're being very cautious with this. But I'd love to hear a prediction for this movie. So for folks who don't know, a lot of returning cast members, people who are 100% dead, they have a bullet through their forehead, like they are still being announced as returning in this film. So love to hear like what is a prediction you might have for this movie.
I don't know anymore. I truly don't know. For a long time, my prediction was AI. I think that the Scream movies have always been very prescient about technology. They've even at times, I think, been ahead in terms of like toxic fan culture online, in terms of social media. I mean, Scream 4, you described Jill wanting to be famous. That's in 2011. Like that is so early in the genesis of what we see. So I for a long time thought AI is how they're doing this and how they're dealing with these weird casts that we're hearing. But I don't know. We have a good friend at the Retro Gamers podcast who pointed out the weirdness of casting a husband named Mark, but it's not Patrick Dempsey. And so that makes me wonder if there's something meta going on. Then, of course, we have Kevin Williamson saying this movie's less meta and more gory, but he could be absolutely lying.
Of course.
We have the teasing that this might be one final stab, one final scream. So I don't know what to expect, and that is what I love about it. I'll still say maybe I think there is going to be some AI element, but I have no idea what to expect. What about you?
Yeah, I think AI is a great choice, and I think the fact that the movie was basically rewritten could add to that, because if it had been written even a couple years ago, AI maybe, even if they're that prescient, right? AI still would have been like, are we doing that? But the fact that the movie was completely rewritten as far as we know just a couple of years ago, like that makes it sense that they could include that. But something about me saying going the same way as Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was also very meta, of course, and maybe even as a tribute to Wes there. And in that movie, you have Heather Langenkamp playing herself, you have Robert Englund playing himself, as well as playing Freddy Krueger, and the lines blending. So the fact that you have Joel McHale now playing Mark, Sydney's husband, but it's not Patrick Dempsey, as you said, like it almost makes me think like, are they, I don't know, something where
Is she
they're
Nev Campbell
actors?
married
Is she
to
Nev
Joel McHale,
Campbell?
this person named Mark? Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't know. And
I
that's
mean, and
one thing
yeah,
that makes it
and
amazing.
certainly we've had movies on the screen. Maybe it's almost a way for Kevin to kind of reclaim Scream, Kevin Williamson, the writer, to reclaim Scream 3 too, which he was not credited as writing on and then had to leave the project. And that is such a Hollywood set movie, even on sets, that like I could see like, you know what, I never got to make my vision there, so I'm gonna kind of make the Hollywood version, the behind the scenes version of Scream, of Stab now, when I have full creative control.
Yeah. And then the tagline, if it's meaningful, burn it down, like burn it all down. I have no idea what that would mean either. Burn down Hollywood? I don't know.
There's a lot of wildfires there. So yes. Yeah.
That maybe wouldn't be the direction they want to go in
No,
with that.
no. Yeah. And do you think like they've been hinting at that this, that could be one final Scream? Like, do you think that this would potentially be the end of the franchise, or do you think like this is just that's a marketing gimmick, or it's a potential an end of part of the franchise?
I don't know, to be honest. There obviously the cynical part of me and probably most consumers at this point is that these things are just milked forever. They're IP farms and no one cares. But there is a part of me that thinks that's not always true. And in particular here, you do have some private ownership. You have Spyglass and the investors who stepped in to take on Wes and Kevin's vision and to own this and shepherd it. So even though they work with Paramount, they do own the rights. So is there a chance that they'd actually let it be dead for a decade? I think it's possible. I do
Yeah.
think it's possible. I don't know. It could be the end of Kevin and Nev, and then maybe Sam and Tara do come back one day, or they try a spinoff. I really don't know. Or that's all misleading and it's fake marketing. And in fact, there's going to be Scream 8 right behind it. There
Well,
was a
yeah.
rumor not too long ago that Scream 8 was already being looked at for a schedule about a year later, which is how they did 5 and 6, were just 1 year apart. So I have no idea. And it's part of the fun is not having any idea. Don't want to do a
Yeah.
deep dive online. Don't want to investigate everything. Don't even want to look at the poster that closely because I just want to
No.
be surprised.
If I had to guess, like I would say that maybe this will be the fanfare for Nev as Sydney, Courtney Cox as Gale, just because Sydney, especially as we know, like never got like her final moment on the screen, really. So I think like this could be a fitting way, and maybe even the twins as well. Like, could this be like segue into a whole new story after this? I certainly don't think the franchise as a whole will be going anywhere, but I do think like you might make a good point. We've had these in fairly brisk succession, and might make sense to have a little bit of a breather and kind of let the want for the franchise to kind of come back a little bit. So maybe there will be a bit of a reset and a gap there.
Yeah. Well,
We'll
can't wait to find out
in just a few days.
Yes. Well, that wraps another round of the Sleepover Retro Countdown Show. We are now proudly part of the Someone's Favorite Production Network, and we are brought to you by Sleepover Trading Company, open inside the Historic Community Theater in Catskill, New York. Follow us online at Sleepover Trading and sleepovertrading.com.
Yeah, come visit the new shop. You can flip through the Video Vision shelves. Join our video club where you can rent movies. We just sent out our actual laminated membership cards, just like the old days. So come on by, rent a movie, and if you're not in New York, shoot us a message on social media.
Be kind. Rewind your childhood.
Check out this other podcast from the Someone's Favorite Productions Network.
If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.